Hello my fellow weirdos, my name is Marie McWilliams. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video I decided to create my own tag and it is called the Dilemmas of a Horror Nerd tag. Hey my fellow weirdos, welcome back. As I said, for today's video we are going to be doing a little tag that I decided to make up after the success of my Dilemmas of a Book Nerd tag video. I put a link down below for that video. It had a lot of people chatting, and the whole concept behind the original creator creating that tag was that as a book nerd, as someone who reads a lot, you get kind of a lot of the same questions asked to you over and over again, and this was kind of a way of addressing all those naysayers and being like, okay, look, this is how I managed to read so much, this is how I managed to store my books everywhere, this is this, blah blah blah. And that went down really well. Everybody liked it and I really enjoyed doing it. So I decided I was going to create my own, and in typical me fashion, of course, I'm going to go to the dark and dingy world of horror. So I don't know about you guys, but as someone who loves horror, I get a lot of criticism and questions and queries from my various friends who don't. I have one friend who loves horror as much as me, my bestie SJ, and she is my like cinema date for all things wonderful and horror. But that's really it. My mum loathes it, my other friends loathe it, they all think like, ugh, why? You know? So I'm going to address some of those questions that I have been asked over the years for you now to explain what it is about horror that I just find so damn appealing. So the first question that I get a lot, and it's kind of like a two-part question, is how can you watch that stuff? And is there something wrong with you? So I get asked that a lot. So it's like a two-parter. So we'll start with, how do you watch that stuff? It's entertaining. I'm sorry, it just is. I think the same thing about romantic kind of chick lit movies like Notebook and stuff. I look at that and I'm like, how can you watch that stuff? It's just so trite and just so predictable and it's just not my cup of tea at all, that kind of soppy sort of stuff. I could do chick flick comedy, but I can't do chick lit sort of stuff, the proper like chick movies. So it's a thing about personal taste. I can watch it because I can stomach it, because I seek out the darker side of entertainment, because I like things that challenge me, that challenge the way that I think, and that horror is just perfect for doing that. And I enjoy being scared and made nervous and made anxious. It's a thrilling emotion, just like on a roller coaster. It's kind of like that little adrenaline hit you get when you wonder if there's somebody behind you in the movie theater or someone under your seat maybe. The thing that happens to all of us when we find ourselves alone in a creepy location where you start to hear all the creaks and the noises, all those fears of the dark, of what's out there that we don't understand, all those guttural, biological, evolutionary fears that are built into us genetically. I love the idea of exploring those and making them entertaining, of asking the questions that people are afraid to ask, of discovering what is in the dark, what is the thing that's making those noises. I love it. I guess I've always been a bit of a dark soul. Okay, question 2 is there something wrong with you? No, there's nothing wrong with me. I just happen to like a different form of entertainment medium than you do. I don't want to read books about, you know, Madeline who moves to the big city and make her dreams come true and finds the perfect man, but is he perfect? Or that's just not my cup of tea. I'm not criticizing people who write or read that. That's your jam, go for it, but that is not my cup of tea. So it's all about personal taste. There's nothing wrong with me. I just have a very different taste from you guys. I like my entertainment to be dark and subversive and controversial and subjective and just intense. Dark. I'm gonna say dark a lot in this video. Okay, so that's question 1 and 2. Question 3, doesn't it give you nightmares? Do you know why I was American for a second there? Doesn't it give you nightmares? I don't actually have any American friends. Yes, it can do. But I think that that question is a very relative question, because in reality, everything contributes to everybody's nightmares. The way that our conscious and subconscious work is that the dreams that we have at night are basically our brain kind of inputting all that data from the day, processing it, breaking it down, working out what needs to be kept and what needs to be disposed of, like a big computer system. So my nightmares might take on slightly different manifestations than your nightmares, but your nightmares are just as impacted by what you watch and read as well. Even if the stuff you watch and read is kind of fluffy, that can still lead to you having nightmares about it, because in our dreams, things that when we say out loud after the nightmare's over sounds silly almost. I had a dream the other week where my friends and I were late for an airplane, and we were actually going through the gardens to get to this airplane on time in people's gardens, taking a shortcut, and then they ended up leaving me behind. And that sounds really stupid, but that was a really horrible and intense dream. Like, it really made me feel so anxious, because that's the way nightmares work. It doesn't necessarily have to be a literal boogeyman. So I do have nightmares as much as everybody else does. I would say mine are probably a bit more vivid than most. I unfortunately and fortunately have an incredibly vivid imagination, which is great when the dreams are nice, but which is really terrifying when they're not. But it just means that maybe the fuel for my nightmares can sometimes be a lot sort of darker and more creative, given the things that I view every day. Why do you like being scared? I think that's a really strange question to me. It's like the same as if you go on a roller coaster, or you get that like tummy feeling when you go over a bump too fast in your car. The same reason that you go to fun fairs. It's that adrenaline rush that you get from being afraid, from being scared. It is exhilarating. It's exhilarating. And obviously movies aren't going to necessarily produce it to the same amount that a roller coaster is going to physically produce it, but there are films that will haunt you, will stay with you for a while. And yeah, no, there's just something incredibly thrilling about them. So I like being scared. I like being creeped out. I like being pushed to, like, you know, what is your limit? Where's your line? I find that really interesting. Aren't horror movies and books all the same? No. I get that all the time. I get told that by people that it's just the same stuff recycled and rehashed over and over and over again. And for a certain extent, I can see where they're coming from. There are a lot of movies which are generally doing the same thing in the same style and the same tropes. But there are so many movies and books out there that are truly original, that are sometimes taking something very familiar and taking it in a completely different way, into a completely different path, or they're creating something completely new to be afraid of, something completely original. There are so many great movies and books out there right now, guys, and it isn't the same thing over and over again. It's just incredibly encouraging to see how horror is being embraced now, how mainstream it's become. You know, we had films like Get Out being nominated and winning Oscars. So it's become a lot more mainstream now, horror, and it means that a lot more money and budget is getting given to people, and Netflix as well, and the creation of the whole platform there. They are literally just throwing money at a director or a writer and saying, go do whatever the hell you want, go do you. And it means there's no kind of interference from producers thinking this is what a horror should be. It should involve this type of a jump scare. It should have this type of a plot line. These guys are just taking it to this new level, to these new places, and it's the same with books as well. So yeah, it's a great time to be a horror fan, guys. Why don't you watch something nice and cheerful? That's my last question there. I do watch nice and cheerful things, and some of the movies that I love, just as much as horror films, and the books that I love just as much as, well, maybe not, but mostly horror films. I like comedies. I like, funny films and funny books, and I love sweet things sometimes. I like those films that can make you happy cry, and the books that make you happy cry, and I can be soppy sometimes and emotional in that way. I like a bit of everything, you know. I'm not particularly into kind of girly arena of movies. I don't know how else to describe it. You know, those, not chick flicks, which are kind of like comedies and they're funny and they're stupid, but the ones where it's very serious and all about romance and someone always dies tragically, those just really don't do it for me. I do like the odd action film, but a lot of the stuff that's being produced now is a bit samey for me. So, but I do enjoy a mindless action movie. I do enjoy a mindless, fun comedy. I do watch those things. But if I have the choice, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch some creepy little horror movie because that's just my jam. I love going to the cinema, but for me, paying the now extortionate prices, guys, at the cinema, come on now, by the time you get your popcorn and everything's like 30 quid, to me, it's only really worth it. The only thing I get excited these days to go to the cinema to see is the horror movies, because I think in a theatre setting, in that dark room, it just adds to the atmosphere of this big screen, you know? So, yeah, I do watch those things, guys, okay? I just don't like them as much as you. Nothing wrong with that. Getting all sassy, getting on my sassy horse. So that's my dilemmas of a book nerd tag. I don't know if you guys, you fellow horror lovers, get asked the same questions that I do. I have been asked those questions so many times that if I got a pound for every time, well, I don't think I'd be a millionaire, but you know, I would have been able to buy myself a really nice handbag or something. I'm so weird. So anyway, yeah, I would love it if you guys could give the tag a go. It's just a bit of fun. I'm not trying to put anybody down, by the way, who doesn't like horror or who has no interest in horror, who thinks horror is stupid, or who, you're wrong, but I'm not putting you down for having different tastes than me. This is just a bit of fun. So let me look at my subscribers. I'm obviously going to be tagging Harpies in the trees because I love her. I love her channel. And I really want to hear her answers to these questions. I'm also going to tag, let's see. I'm going to tag Written in Blood. And I'm going to tag Regina's Haunted Library. So don't feel obligated to do the tag, guys. This was just a little bit of fun on my part. But if you could do the tag, I would really, really enjoy seeing your videos. So let me know if you do so I can check them out. But that's me for now, guys. Please hit the bell button, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, do all that wonderful jazz so that we can discuss all the wonders and beauty that is horror. And I'll see you soon. Bye.